news today, we found out that a journalist who works for Al Jazeera, who also happens to be an American citizen, was shot and killed. Now, all of the clues point to the IDF shooting her. The journalists who were with her at the time say that it was IDF snipers who shot her. She was shot in the face and killed. And Rashida Tlaib tweeted this in response. When will the world and those who stand by apartheid Israel that continues to murder, torture, and commit war crimes finally say enough? Shireen Abu Akleh was murdered by a government that receives unconditional funding by our country with zero accountability. There is nothing inaccurate about that tweet. There is nothing hateful about that tweet. That tweet shows compassion for someone who was gunned down as she was doing her job as a journalist. That tweet calls into question US foreign policy toward Israel, which enables Israel to carry out the occupation that it's currently carrying out of the Palestinian people. But Ben Shapiro, who just absolutely despises the left because he thinks they go around calling all these good-natured, innocent people racist when they're not racist, responded to Rashida Tlaib with this comment. Anti-Semite, anti-Semites again. So John, maybe I'm missing it, okay? Right wing loves to think or loves to tell me how dumb I am. So maybe I missed it, John. What exactly in her statement was anti-Semitic?
I don't know. He doesn't know. He knows the playbook though. He knows what he's supposed to say. He knows the particular role that he's supposed to play here. In the same way that when Karine Jean-Pierre was nominated to be press secretary, Dave Rubin knew it was time for him to be trotted out to say that she only got the job because she's a black lesbo. Ben Shapiro knows that he's supposed to call someone an anti-Semite. He's supposed to call them that, knowing, like he's somewhat dim, but he's not outright stupid. He is smart enough to be able to look around the country and see that an ever increasing number of people, maybe 1% more of their base per week, believes that the core of their political ideology should be the belief that an international cabal of Satanists are eating children. It's just anti-Semitism, that's all it is. It's been, the serial numbers have been filed off a little bit, but the hatred is still there. He knows exactly what it's going to birth, and that's right-wing thought, QAnon. He knows that a significant portion of his own audience believes horrible conspiracy theories about Jewish people. He knows that some of the stars on his side, Marjorie Greene and Paul Gosar and all that, are outright anti-Semites, but he also knows where his bread is buttered. He knows how he pays his rent, and that is turning these sorts of accusations against people like Rashida Tlaib.
No, this is why they pay you the big bucks / you don't get paid big bucks at all, but nonetheless. No,
feel
John,
free.
Thank you for bringing up members of the Republican Party who have flat out said anti-Semitic things and mum's the word with Ben Shapiro. Like on one hand, he loses his mind when people call him racist after he refers to black people as like culturally violent. Right? Like, oh, I don't, the left-wing mob, they like to go around calling people names. They like to falsely accuse people of racism, as he's falsely accusing a US member of Congress of anti-Semitism, even though she did nothing and said nothing that was anti-Semitic. At the same time, you've got Marjorie Greene who talks about Jewish space lasers. I don't know. I mean, look, maybe I missed it. Maybe Ben Shapiro is a principled individual and maybe he did condemn those types of comments from the Paul Gosars and the Marjorie Greenes of the world. I haven't seen it. But if anyone dares to question us funding the brutality that's being carried out by Israel's government and its forces, you're anti-Semitic. Israel, you're not allowed to ever criticize it regardless of what its right-wing government does.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we can dare to dream that in the same way we're waiting for like a strong leftist government to finally come to power in the US. Fingers crossed it happens in Israel, because then you'll be allowed to criticize them. If they ever get a super left-wing government, then it'll be on. You can say whatever you want about them at that point. No, they cloak, the the pre-censoring of any criticism of Israel's longstanding right-wing governments as being anti-Semitic, as being anti-Israel, rather than against that one political regime. It's the only case in the world where that conflation is made, and they do it so casually. And by the way, like, they ignore the stuff on the right. They ignore, as you say, the Jewish space lasers. They ignore Marjorie Greene constantly minimizing the suffering during the Holocaust, implying that having to wear a mask is the same thing. And then she goes to the Holocaust like museum and says, oh, she's learned a ton, and then goes right back to doing the same thing. Whatever. Like, he could ignore that and still be right that a statement made by someone on the left or in the center is anti-Semitic. That's entirely possible. There's a lot of anti-Semites around the world, and they're not all conservatives. It's just very popular on that side. But tell me what in her statement is anti-Semitic. The accusation that Israel is an apartheid state. If Israel is not an apartheid state, remove the word from the dictionary. It doesn't mean anything at this point. He really seems to believe that we identified South Africa, and that's it. That's as far as it goes. And by the way, if he had been doing live commentary during that time, he would have been perfectly fine with what South Africa was getting up to. The idea that they murder and torture, that they kill people, that they brutalize people, that they don't treat them with humanity, who can possibly look at the news? Who could possibly look at the facts and not realize it on a daily basis? We could give him a pass for everything in the past 50, 60, 70 years. And in the next week, we will see confirmation that what Rashida Tlaib was just identifying in regards to Israel is true. They'll go out and they'll brutalize activists. They'll throw people out of their homes. They'll flashbang some mosques. They'll provide the evidence for us in just a day or two. You can trust that.
Well, and finally, it's really mostly the United States government that refuses to hold Israel accountable for, the Israeli government accountable for what it's doing. The international community is far more critical of what's taking place. And so I guess according to Ben Shapiro, the entire international community, with the exception of the US government, is anti-Semitic. All of these countries, almost the entirety of the UN, anti-Semitic.
Hungary and Russia are probably okay too, to be fair.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR, so those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.